I'm here with Gibbons, CEO of Bennett Carroll Solicitors. Can you tell me a little bit about what happens at an open home guide if I'm looking to buy a property?
Okay, so most properties that are either coming up for auction or just on the market will have an open house. It's generally a fairly short period on a weekend, sometimes on an evening if the property's got a particularly good view. When you arrive, you'll be greeted by the agent and there'll be a sign-in book. You'll be asked to sign in. That book serves a couple of purposes. It's designed to let the seller know how many people came and looked at the property, but it's also designed to allow the agent to give you a call back and chase you about your interest in that property. So I know that there are some people who will actually accidentally on purpose put the wrong details in there, and can't recommend that, but I know that it does happen.
Okay, what sort of information could we expect to see at the open house?
You'll always get a glossy brochure. Read that by all means. It contains representations and statements that you can rely upon, but treat it with some care. These documents are prepared by agents and they are, should we say, expensive. It's very important that whatever you're told throughout this process, you check independently. Things like particularly encumbrances and things that might affect the property from local authorities and so forth.
Okay, so if I'm happy with what I've seen and what I've heard, how do I go about making an offer?
Okay, you can either ask the agent to send you a draft contract. The agent will have a contract that's been prepared in advance anyway, or you can go with the agent back to the agency and actually sign that contract. The agent would prefer that you went down to the agency and signed, but sometimes the more experienced buyers will say, please send it to me, I want to consider it, so they can be done away from that pressured situation.
Okay. If there's any sort of encumbrances, how do I go about having those disclosed in?
Okay. In Queensland and in every other jurisdiction in Australia, it's a requirement to disclose any encumbrance which affects the property, things like easements, mortgages, and from next year, now under federal legislation, things like equipment that have a mortgage or a bill of sale on them will also need to be listed. There's a new federal register of personal property securities, the PPSR, which lists items like, for example, pool equipment, fixed washing equipment, air conditioning equipment, which might be bought on credit and which is subject to the bill of sale. And that will now need to be disclosed. So have a very good look at the draft contract when it arrives. If you find subsequently that there is an encumbrance that affects the property, an easement, for example, which is not listed on the contract when it's given to you, you have the right to walk away from it.
Okay. Now, if I'm trying to make an offer and I'm getting close to when the property is supposed to be auctioned, do I have to waive my cooling off period?
You might be asked to. Now, in every jurisdiction, and particularly in Queensland, there is a cooling off period that the state government mandates and requires, which allows the buyer to walk away from the contract even after it's signed, provided it's done reasonably quickly. And in Queensland, you will actually lose a portion of your deposit if you trigger that cooling off period. But if you're making an offer very close to the auction, say the auction's on Saturday, you're making an offer on Friday, you may be asked to waive that cooling off period. The idea being that the seller will not want to have to go through all of that process, sign the contract, call off the auction, and then find out 5 days later that you're using the cooling off period to kill off the contract and the auction's been lost. So you may be asked to waive that cooling off period if your contract's been signed within the cooling off period before the auction. And that is actually not an easy process, waiving a cooling off period. It's fairly involved, so be ready for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Guy. If there's anything else we can get some information on, how do we contact you?
Sure. Probably the easiest way is the website, which is www.bcglaw.com. There's a heap of information that you can download there. You'll find us on YouTube, of course.
Okay, thank you very much.